Hello and welcome to Wingin It, and welcome to this latest installment in a series of videos in which we take a look at how to build effective engines of all different types in Wingspan Oceania expansion. In this episode today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favourite kinds of engines, and that is the wetlands tucking engine. So of course, as with the other habitats, we did look at this way back when we were playing with just the base game, and we took a look at how to build a pretty strong wetlands tucking engine with those base game birds. But of course, since then a lot has changed. Not only did we have the European expansion bringing plenty of strong options, but of course the Oceania expansion itself has some very nice wetlands tucking birds, and those are going to feature very, very heavily here today in this episode. So jumping into the starting hand, we of course have here some lovely wetlands tucking options, and one of my favourite birds from the Oceania expansion, and that is the maned duck. So of course this power here, letting you tuck cards and get food at the same time, which is a very, very strong power and very unique in the wetlands, being able to do that in a way that you're drawing cards and then tucking and getting food all at the same time. It's so strong. You can use that food, of course, to help get that wetlands edges set up, get more birds down, but potentially look at using those extra food for scoring points later on. And alongside it, we also have another absolute star here. The yellow-headed blackbird needs no introduction if you have watched previous videos on this topic. Of course, coming from the base game, you can get a tuck and an egg with this brown power, which is very, very strong. Again, like the maned duck, really useful for getting that engine set up in the early game. Eggs, you need those to be playing more birds, but of course they're worth points as well and can help you towards your end of round goal. So between the two of these birds, this is a really, really strong start, and I think in any sort of game where I see these two together, I know I'm going to be having a good time and jumping into a wetlands engine here. So I should say, as with the other parts of this series, we're going to be playing against the AI, but we're of course going to be featuring these wonderful birds and seeing what we can do in terms of setting up an engine. So first of all, we're going to start here by playing the yellow-headed blackbird. Just getting those extra eggs, as I said, helps you really set up the engine. And with just one turn drawing, I can get myself a tuck and an egg. That immediately lets me play the maned duck on my next turn. And the AI here very helpfully playing a cooperative bird, the red crossbill. So that is definitely going to be a little bit of a factor here as well, helping us out with some more free food. But for now, we can secure our own food access, so maned duck goes down. And wow, as I say, what an opening this is. Really accelerated, I think, as well by these new boards with the Oceania expansion. You know, being able to play that blackbird and immediately drawing two cards is very, very strong. And then, of course, some of these extra cards, they're going to get tucked under this maned duck. So already, you know, drawing two cards here, we're choosing perhaps on some of these turns to be discarding some eggs just to help ourselves maybe look at some extra cards, knowing that they can all get tucked behind this maned duck. So indeed, that is what we're going to be doing. And we're immediately looking at something like this red-breasted merganser. So just being able to draw extra cards, you know, maned duck, in theory, I can tuck three cards there and then a fourth on the blackbird. I'm only currently drawing two, so I want to be building this out as quickly as possible and letting myself draw extra cards. So initially, that's what I'm leaning towards. However, out of the corner of my eye, spotting this ringbill gull. So another base game bird, but another very, very nice one to be getting down here. Eats any food, so the maned duck seeds very much coming in handy. And it's a very simple power. You tuck a card and you draw a card. So really, really nice. Getting the extra points through this tuck cards, that card cycle, which lets you see more cards in the deck and find those strong engine birds even quicker. But equally, if they're not birds I'm interested in, well, they're just going to get tucked under the maned duck and, yeah, help me score even more points. So, yeah, this engine is already looking really good. Only three birds in. But, of course, we're drawing cards, we're tucking cards, we're getting eggs and food. And it's all looking really good, especially with this Edwin Jain coming up. So this is one that comes from the European expansion. And it is such a strong bird. Anytime you're looking to do a wetlands tucking engine, Edwin Jain is going to be a bird you are looking for. This brown power lets you draw two cards. You get to tuck one of them and keep the other. So not only are you getting a point through the tuck card, but potentially, if you've got these other tucking birds as well, that extra card that you're drawing through the Order in Skull power, that can be used to score even more points. And yeah, as I say, with this main duck, we're going to be doing plenty of tucking. So those extra cards are for sure going to come in handy. So one more turn, just drawing, doing the tucking here. Just getting that second egg on the blackbird, that's going to let us get this Order in Skull down. We don't have a fish, but it's not a big deal. We've got plenty of seeds coming through from the main duck. A little bit of help, of course, as well from the opponent here. And there we go, Order in Skull goes down. So now this engine is super, super strong. We're drawing 3 cards here. We're getting a 4th card through the Order in Skull, but we're also getting a tuck for a point. Ring Bill Gull, that then, of course, gets a point as well. Through this tuck and draw power. So we're already on 2 points, and we've not even come to the best parts of this engine, being the main duck. That's getting another 3 tucks, and then the blackbird getting a tuck and an egg. We are looking at a 7-point engine here from just 4 birds, which is a little bit ridiculous. And what else is a little bit ridiculous is finding a bird like the grey catbird. So yeah, very, very nice power here. Very flexible, lets you copy another power in your habitat when your habitat is full of strong birds like these. I could be copying any one of these bird powers and feeling very, very happy about it. So yeah, definitely looking good. We're just going to go ahead and yeah, keep tucking everything we're finding. Keeping a bird like the kinglet, I'm thinking ahead, maybe playing something like a Benelli's eagle or some other strong power, and clearing out some eggs. Having these kind of double birds is very, very handy. And something like this Cassim's Finch could be a good example of that. But what gets me even more excited than that is this Canada Goose. And I'm looking at this and thinking, this is the final piece of the puzzle. This is the last piece of my engine. I'm already getting the seeds here through the main duck power. And what better way to use those if you're not going to be playing birds than getting even more tuck cards? And so yeah, this is where the Canada Goose power really comes into its own. And I think this is a highlight of these kinds of tucking engines you can set up in the Oceania expansion. For me, in the base game and even maybe in that European expansion, I'm never normally looking at Canada Goose as a good option for a wetlands tucking engine, because normally food is not your strength. I think it's only in a position where you might have a raven or a crow or something like a hummingbird maybe that's getting you a bit of food, where you could look to use a bird like the Canada Goose and maybe go for some extra tucks. But here it's perfect because every turn we're getting a seed through the main duck, you know, perhaps even through this crossbill, of course, that our opponent has got. Sometimes you've got to be paying attention and seeing what your opponent is doing. It's yeah, just going to be so strong for us. But it is a consideration still, I think, for me between catbird and goose. You could go either way, of course. The catbird with that flexibility. Some turns you might choose to copy the gull, get an extra tuck and a card. Some turns you might look to copy the main duck and get even more tucks and a little bit more food here. But for me in this video, I really want to showcase the kind of wetland engine where you set it up and you just run it pretty much for the rest of the game. You're just drawing cards, you're getting those tucks. And yeah, as I say, what better way to do that than with this Canada Goose. So the engine now, it is complete and it is very strong. So of course, while there's egg space on this blackbird, we're going to be still getting those eggs there for even more points. But count these with me, 2 tucks on the goose. We get another tuck on the gull, another tuck on the other gull. We then get 3 tucks on the main duck, and then a tuck and an egg on that blackbird at the end. A 9-point engine before the end of round 2. This is super strong, and yeah, super difficult to play against. You're not going to have much chance of beating this, I have to say. So yeah, this is only a temporary 9-point engine. Of course, once that blackbird egg space does fill up, as it does on this turn, we're not going to be getting the extra points from those eggs. However, I think an 8-point engine is still absolutely insane, and one way you can just run it. You know, this isn't like a grasslands engine where you're laying eggs and you're filling up on your egg space and really, you know, struggling to keep that going, especially as you get towards the end of the game and you are filling up. This is an engine where you just keep running it. There's no limit on the number of tuck cards. And I mean, look at that main duck, already on 22. That number's going to go up and up and up as we go through the rest of this game. So yeah, should be pretty much on rails here. We might have a few decisions to be made. You know, we are picking up some birds, of course, that we might look at playing with a bit of extra food. Something like the Australian raven might be something interesting. Little Bustard equally, go for a bonus card. Did keep the Prairie Manager bonus card at the start, so something in the back of my mind to think about is, are there going to be some turns where maybe we do look to play something just to try and hit that bonus card? But yeah, otherwise, it's pretty simple. We just keep drawing, and we know we're going to be scoring a lot of points from this kind of engine. Now, this is the point of the game where I will come to some honourable mentions that we might have looked to go for in this kind of game. Of course, we featured a wide variety of birds. We've got your tuck and lays and your tuck and draws from the base game that we all know and love. Edwin's Goal, as I say, absolute star. You should be looking at that anytime you're going to set up a wetlands tucking engine like this. And the main duck, of course. Where would we be without you and your food generation? But we've not even got the Mute Swan, which is one of the most powerful birds, I think, from the European expansion. Similar power to the main duck, where you get to tuck 3 cards, but instead you're drawing an extra card back. That is very powerful, especially again with this Edwin's Goal. A very, very nice one to get with a mockingbird or a catbird as well. This is the point where the Benelli's comes up, so for sure that is going to be one I will look at playing. Ordinarily a bird where when you're running a tucking engine, it can be quite difficult to play because, especially with a main duck kind of taking all of your cards away, you don't always have spare cards to be playing something like a Benelli. But I think here, just by having these extra cards, I mean, again, thanks to the accelerated development of the card drawing through the new Oceania boards, we're just able to keep more cards. And yeah, that'll be a handy way of perhaps looking to play this Benelli's Eagle later on. But yeah, as I say, Mute Swan would have been a lovely one here, getting extra tucks, maybe even a better option than this Canada Goose, given some of these extra cards that we're getting. And then there's the Chiff Chaff as well. So again, another absolute star from the European expansion. One of those birds where you can tuck up to 5 cards in a single turn if you've got a full wetlands habitat. So that can be one that you really look to build a strong wetlands tucking engine, especially again with a bird like the Edwin's Gull or something like a Savvy's Warbler. Getting you extra cards for tucking can be a very nice position. So there we go. On our couple of recent turns, we've been playing some other birds. We've not been tucking. So the Mannequin going down, that's one of these Oceania birds. A new game end power, which lets you play another bird. So that is something I'll be looking to use to play the Benelli's Eagle. We played the Little Bustard as well. That helped a little bit, of course. Cleared out an egg space on the Blackbird, which we could then fill up again. And got another egg in and of itself. And the Historian bonus card, which not amazing in this position, but actually with the Edwin's Gull, and we know Benelli's Eagle, that's going to be a very, very nice play, hitting that bonus card as well. So even more of a strong play late on in this game that Benelli's Eagle is going to become. But otherwise, the formula is simple. We keep drawing, we keep tucking. As I say, it's still 8 points a turn. Even if this Blackbird is full, we're still getting our 8 points. So I'll happily run an 8-point engine late in the game. There comes the Mute Swan. I knew it was going to come up at some point later in the game, then maybe it would have been useful. But again, I'm not going to complain when I'm able to set up an engine like this. So we did okay on some of these end of round goals. That can be a bit of an issue sometimes in the wetland tucking engines. But with these kind of end of round goals, where it is birds in the wetlands and eggs in a particular nest type, you can sometimes get away with those. But here we go. Benelli's Eagle play at the end of the game, thanks to this grey-headed Mannequin. Huge point bomb there in the forest. Another slight weakness here, you're going to notice we did not spend much nectar. So in a 2-player game, we're missing out on those points. We pick up just the 2 through the wetlands, so we give a clean sweep to the opponent. But the goal is that we're going to try and make up for that deficit through the tuck cards. And that is hopefully what we can achieve here. So again, not loads on the birds or the bonus cards or the end of round goals. Only a few eggs. So we are going to be looking a little bit behind here. But again, this is not what we're going for when we're trying to build a wetlands tucking engine. It is all about these tuck cards. And oh boy, do we have a lot of them. This number is just going to keep counting up and up and up. We're already at a very high number. We're over 100 tuck cards there, 113, a few nectar points at the end, and oh wow, 166 is the final score. Slightly unbelievable, I've got to say, with those 113 tuck cards. And yeah, it just felt very, very smooth. This game, setting this engine up, getting the right birds at the right time, gotta say. The ring-billed gull and the Ordwin's gull, and even that goose came up just in time for me to be able to play it and make use of it. So there we go. Hopefully that was a useful showcase for you on just how strong these wetland tucking engines can be. Like I said, I think if you come up against something like this, it is very, very difficult to beat. There are so few counters. We do have some pink powers from the European expansion. The snow bunting and the European goldfinch are very good birds to potentially counter this kind of engine. But when there's no co-op, when there's no food or eggs or cards being given out, your opponent is going to have to work for themselves, and they are going to have to work hard to try and fight against this engine. So yeah, like I say, hopefully you found this useful. Look out for that main duck, absolutely. If that comes up in a starting hand for you, this is the potential of the kind of engine that you can be building. So hopefully you can build some strong wetland engines using the European and Oceania expansions. And if you want to explore some other kinds of engines, we have a whole playlist of videos in this series in which we take a look at exactly that. And if you want to see more content like this, please do hit that subscribe button, do stay tuned, and I will see you again in another video very, very soon.